I think one of the strangest things about creating is that the beginning, everything feels exciting. You have ideas, you have energy, you have vision. You can already see the future in your mind. You tell yourself, I'm going to post consistently. I'm going to build something meaningful. I'm going to share my thoughts, my ideas, my creativity, and maybe one day it will reach people. And for a while, you do it. You write, you film, you edit, you post. Then reality shows up. You spend hours creating something that feels special to you. You think this might be my best work yet. You upload it, and then 10 views, 20 views, maybe 50. Maybe nobody comments. Maybe nobody shares it. Maybe it feels like your work disappeared into the quiet corner of the internet. If you've ever created anything before, you will know that feeling. That feeling of giving something your time, your energy, your thoughts, your creativity, and wondering if it mattered. I think this is where many people stop. Not because they're lazy, not because they're not talented, but because creating asks something difficult from us. It asks us to work before we see results. And that goes against how most of life works. Think about it. You go to work, you get paid. You work more hours, you get another paycheck. There's a direct connection between effort and reward. And there's nothing wrong with that. We need jobs, we need income, we need stability. But creating is different. Creating is planting seed in the field where nothing seems to grow for a long time, sometimes months, sometimes years. And during that waiting season, life keeps talking to you. Bills need to be paid, responsibilities need attention, work needs to be done, people need you. And slowly, without even noticing, creating moves lower and lower on the list. Not because you stopped loving it, but because the things that give immediate results begin to feel more important. And honestly, that is real. That is not laziness. That is life. Many creators carry a quiet sadness that they rarely talk about. It is a sadness of knowing you have ideas inside you, stories inside you, thoughts inside you, things you want to build, things you want to say, and yet, day after day, those ideas stay inside you because there's so many other things asking for your attention. And after a while, something else happens. You start comparing. You see people growing quickly. You see channels, accounts becoming successful. You see creators getting opportunities, and you wonder, what are they doing that I am not doing? Am I too late? Am I not good enough? Should I just stop? Many people believe that the hardest part of creating is learning how to film or edit or write, but the hardest part is learning how to keep going when there is little evidence that it is working. That is difficult because we live in a world that loves visible results, numbers, followers, views, money, recognition. But some of the most important thing in life grows quietly. Think about a tree, for example. Before you see anything above the ground, roots are growing underneath. And no one claps for the root. No one celebrates the root. But roots matters. Without roots, there will be no fruit. Maybe not every season of creating is a harvest season. Maybe some seasons are root building seasons. Maybe you're learning, you're improving, you're finding your voice, you're understanding people, or understanding the algorithm, growing in ways you cannot see yet. And maybe the problem is not that nothing is happening. Maybe the problem is that we're expecting growth to happen faster than it naturally does. I once heard someone say that people often overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in 10. And I think this is true. Because real things usually take time. Real relationship, real skills, real growth, real impact, and maybe meaningful creation, it is the same. Maybe what we create today is building something we cannot see. I also realized something else. Creating is not only about result, it is also about joy. There is something beautiful about taking an idea that only existed in your mind and bringing it into the world. Writing the words, recording the thoughts, sharing the story, making something that did not exist before. There's joy in that, even if the audience is small, even if the progress is slow, even if no one notices at first. Because creating reminds us that we're not only consumers, we're builders, we're makers, we're people with thoughts, ideas, gifts, and stories. And maybe the act of creating is valuable before it becomes profitable. That thought has been helping me lately. Because I think sometimes we put too much pressure on creation. We ask it to pay us immediately. We ask it to prove itself immediately. We ask it to show results immediately. But what if creating is more like planting? You plant, you water, you wait, you keep showing up. And one day, often later than expected, growth appears. The life manual says, "Let us not weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." And I love this passage because it is honest. It doesn't pretend that people never get tired. It says, "Do not worry," because weariness is real. Disappointment is real. Discouragement is real. Doubt is real. Wanting to quit is also real. But this passage reminds us that there is a harvest, there is a reward, there is something on the other side of consistency. Maybe not always in the way we expect, but there is always growth, there is always learning, there is always impact, and sometimes the things we are building is also building us. Maybe creating is teaching us patience, discipline, faithfulness, courage. Maybe every video, every post, every idea is shaping who we become. And maybe that matters just as much as the numbers. So, if you have stopped creating, if you have ideas in your notebook, if you have a project you've never touched in months, if you have been wondering whether it is worth continuing, this is your reminder. You do not have to create perfectly. You do not have to create every day. You do not need to have everything figured out. You only need to start again. One idea, one page, one video, one step. Because small things become big things when they are done consistently. And maybe years from now, you will look back and be thankful that you kept planting, even when you could not see the harvest. These are just thoughts that have been on my mind lately. And if you're building something quietly, if you're creating something that matters to you, I hope you keep going. The world has enough people consuming. What it needs is more people willing to create. Thank you for spending this moment with me. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep becoming.